Okay, it is 10 of 1, and we're going back into open session. And our last item is 10-6, Hogan Road and Rust Creek ownership update. And we have report 2024-33, Hogan report and Rust Green ownership update from 26 November 2024. And I believe you have a question, Mike, before we start?
I do, Mayor. I have to apologize. I have to make it a conflict of interest with this report. I know it's about our roads and infrastructure, but it does talk about contracts with the Northumberland District ATV Riders Club, and I am the president of that club. So I will hand in the sheet to our clerk, and I will step back from any conversations of this item.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are you going to literally step back? Sit back?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We have a staff member that's going to provide some information on this. Ms. Clerk.
Through you, Mayor Logel, there was a delegation received a couple months ago in regards to a request in relation to Hogan Road and Rust Creek Road to cease the use of motorized vehicles on these two roads. So at that meeting, at that delegation, council did ask staff to come back and determine whether or not, if the council did in fact own these roads. We have done a title search through our legal team, and it is confirmed that yes, we do own these roads.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Mayor Gavin.
This has been an ongoing issue for us. It's been in front of this council a few times, and I'm pleased. This is the furthest we've got to actually getting some answers here. So it's good to know that the Oak Ridges Trail Association agreement is in good standing, and that there is insurance associated with that. I find it very disconcerting that we are going to establish an agreement with the Northumberland District ATV Club. I would have thought, given that there is work being done by that club on our property, that there would have been an agreement in place already.
Thank you. Any other comments? I guess I have one. I went back on document, we call that document center. I went back on document center for the last 9 years when I believe this issue first started. And it continues. It continues on and on. In 2015, the council made the decision to decline request for stop up and close or prohibit motor vehicles, or request to close an open road allowance. It continued on in each year except for 2016, 2018. It was denied again. 2021, it was denied again. That's gone through several council groups, at least 2, probably, well, I guess we'd be the 3rd one. And I don't believe that it is good use of our time to continue to bring this back. It was actually brought back in 2024 in about April or May, and it comes up again. So I don't think it's good use of our time. And just for example, in 2024, it's come up at least 5 times in there, and 23 was worse, 22 was as bad. So it continues to come. I'm not prepared to close roads to one group and open it for another. That's not what the township has done throughout its career or throughout time. Public roads are open to the public. And I don't see any reason why we continue to bring this back to the council again. So that's my thoughts, my recommendations, and I'm looking forward to hearing anybody's thoughts as well. Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor Logo, one of the concerns that we did receive an email from a farmer. And this is how he gets into the field. And logistically, I'm just wondering about if you close one part of the road and leave the other part open. I just don't know how that would work through this. So I concur with you. It's taken a lot of staff time. The other thing that comes to mind here is the agreement with the ATV club and the insurance. But is it, did I read this wrong, or we don't have the document that gets renewed every 5 years, or am I misreading this?
Go ahead.
So through you, Mr. Mayor,
Thank you.
a review of the files shows that there is a note in there that it automatically renews every 5 years, and we have the insurance certificates to substantiate that. However, there's nothing that I can locate that actually an amending agreement or a clause within the agreement that says it does automatically renew. So that is something that we would look at formalizing.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Go ahead, Mary Catherine. Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you. Just, it does say to bring it forward to council in 2025. I know this has been something that with the changes of clerks has sort of 3 times council said, can we get this sorted out? The ATV club agreement. So I would like to see that as soon as possible. I think we shouldn't have people in there. I went for a walk on the weekend. There was extensive work done to a bridge that is on our property, and those are the kinds of things that we need an agreement in place before those are happening.
Mhm.
You. Councilor Booth, do you have any comments? Like you had your hand up all of a sudden.
He's really hearing.
So, I would make a recommendation, but I don't think, pardon me, I've made a recommendation, but I think I would like to bring something to the table. And in order to do that, Deputy Mayor, can you step into the chair? I would make a recommendation that, pardon me, I'll make a motion that council, having decided this several times in the past, and it's continuing to bring brought up, and no change has been made, that this council advise whatever, that this should not be considered anymore during this council term. Can you put that into better words?
Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Through you, Madam Deputy Mayor.
You.
For clarity, Mr. Mayor, the motion that you have is that council. Can you repeat it for me, please?
That council advise staff that this is not to be considered anymore during this term of council.
Perfect. Very well worded. Could I have a seconder for that, please? And I will second that. Any more discussion on the topic? Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
I don't, through you, your worship, I don't know if John wants to talk about his point.
Thank you. Mayor Lobo, would you like to add any more information?
I would like to add that
Mayor Lobo, could you just speak a little closer? Thank you.
I would like to add that without getting into specifics, that the previous times, staff have gone out to this location numerous times and have all come back, that I'm aware of, all come back saying there was no need to close this road. I know that members of council have been out there several times and have gone up and down the road, and there's been no, that I'm aware of, no issues that they brought to council regarding this issue. I know for a fact that the last 3 clerks have been harassed, I'm going to use the word, harassed by this, a person that continually brings this up. I know that I don't know. I don't believe there's any petition that's ever been put together. I understand it's coming from one person, and I did not run for council to look after one individual. I look after the whole township, the 7,500 people, and that's the best I can do. I cannot give to one that I would not give to the I don't know how many, well, I do know 400 kilometers of road. No, that's only active roads. I don't really know what the inactive roads are. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you. Anyone else have any thoughts? Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
Through you, your worship, I agree with a lot of points that you're making. I don't know whether to call him I guess it's Mr. Mayor who sat down. I agree with a lot of your points. I mean, this has come up at last council and was voted on in that. I guess the only concern I have with the motion saying that we don't deal with it anymore is the point that Councillor O'Neill said is, I'm still waiting to see the ATV club establish an agreement. I would prefer that we just vote to accept this as information, and then that's it. We accept the report as information as it states, and that's it. There's nothing else left with it. But it's not to be brought up again unless there's some issue with the ATV club and signing on. Because it says in 2025, we're looking at establishing an agreement. And I don't think that agreement would have anything different than any of the other assumed roads. I just think to make a motion to just say, that's it, we're not doing it anymore, sort of gives us no other options.
Okay.
That's all. But I do agree with a lot of the points that you made.
Mayor Logo, would you like to do an amendment to your motion?
I can do an amendment that we direct staff not to accept any correspondence from a certain individual who I cannot name, but anything regarding Russ Creek and Hogan Roads. And we direct staff not to get involved. If council wants to get involved, that's their prerogative.
Mayor Logo, would you like to maybe add that the only way it would come back is if this agreement needs to come back in May to deal with the ATV club, that agreement? I'm not sure if that would be part of it or not, but not to deal with opening and closing of it. It would have to only be specific to the agreement and the insurance. Go ahead, Madam Clerk, if you can assist, that would be wonderful.
Through you, Madam Deputy Clerk. Just as a matter of procedure, just to help keep things a little more streamlined, a little cleaner, we are dealing with 2 separate matters. So if you were to start combining them and amending into one motion, you might make the waters more muddy than they need to be.
Okay.
So as a matter of procedure, just to help keep things clean and crisp and clear, I would advise that perhaps we consider the motion, and Mayor Logal, please correct me if this is, I've just added a little bit more just for clarity's point. But the motion to advise staff that the matter to close Hogan Road and Russ Creek Road to motorized traffic not be brought forward again during this term. That's what I've taken. And again, just to add for the clarity. And then if there's a second motion to come into play in relation to an agreement with the ATV club, but that one be made as a separate, again, just to help keep things clean and crisp and the matters separate.
I think that would expedite. Are you okay with that, Counselor Booth?
I didn't second it. You did. So you would, I
Well,
guess if you're okay with it, but I do have a comment.
all
Your
right,
Worship.
that's, if you have a comment, go ahead.
Um, I see what you're saying, Mr. Mayor, and I agree, like I said, with a lot of your points. I just think it's slamming the door shut. There's been a presentation that's been made, so this person is not allowed to bring it up for another year, which is fine, so it shouldn't come to council. I would,
That would be 2 years. For this council term?
no, the bylaw says that you can't bring up the same thing in front of council for a year, which means this
Okay, I
this
see.
person cannot make another presentation for a year, which is fine. My only concern is, like I said, the ATV club agreement, which is probably nothing, but it's just a minor thing. I would prefer if your motion, Mr. Mayor, just said the way it's written, that council receives the report update for information. That way we receive it for information. Thank you. This person is not allowed to make another thing in front of council for a year. And hopefully in 2025, the ATV agreement is signed and everything, and we're all on board. That's it. I think it makes it cleaner instead of saying that this person can't send stuff to staff and this and that and everything, but that's up to you.
I am fine with that as long as everybody here understands that we do not want staff wasting their time on something that's repeated and repeated and repeated. And I don't believe this council is willing to consider. So can you change that a little bit? Okay.
Just clarification, I would think that the clerk knows that if this person sends in more information to ask to go in front of council, they're not allowed to. They can't make another presentation. So I think that's solved, right?
It does for council.
For a year.
It does for council, but I just hate to see, and it's not only to clerks. It is, the person that answers the phone. And the person that we have answering the phone is pretty good. But she answers and she's nice lady, nice young lady. And she ends up running around the council chamber, pardon me, not to count the staff, looking for whoever she wants to speak to. It's silly. So I'm willing to amend my motion, if that brings this to an end, that as Greg has suggested, which is not come back for 12 months.
Or, well, my suggestion would be the way that they have it written, which says we receive for information. And then the clerk knows if this person or whoever continues to send stuff, it's not going to affect council because it can't come in front of us anymore for a year. And the only reason I say that through you, your worship, is because of the ATV bit. Once that's signed and done, and if it's agreed upon and everything's okay with the ATV thing, then it's a dead issue, right?
Well, I think, are you clear in what you're putting forward now? And I would support that, and then I will go to Councillor O'Neill.
I just want to make it clear that staff is not to be bringing anything to council or being harassed. If they're being harassed, then they bring that back to council for consideration.
For clarity, Councillor, sorry, Madam Clerk.
Okay, so the motion on the floor that was moved by Mayor Logal and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover, is that council advised staff that the matter to close Hogan Road and Russ Creek Road to motorized traffic not be brought forward again during this term of council. So that is currently what's on the floor. If there's any amendments to massage this, then we can. Our procedure bylaw does speak to the reconsideration for 1 year. So that would automatically, the 1 year place is already in play because of our procedure bylaw. So really right now you're looking to extend it until October of 2026 based on the motion on the floor.
I'm willing to amend that to follow the procedural bylaw.
And I will second that.
So just as a matter of procedure, before we do that, if we're just going to rely on the procedure bylaw, then you would just let this motion as it stands that was moved and seconded, just let that fail because you're eliminating the piece.
Oh, okay.
Well, drop my motion, is that what you're saying?
You can do that. If you really want for absolute clarity, you can also put a motion forward as well that
I'd like to make it clear that staff not be, pardon me, the council staff be directed not to bring this back until 1 year from now,
Okay.
as per the procedural bylaw. And that if staff are continued to be harassed, that they bring that forward to council.
Thank you. I'll second that. Go ahead, Councillor O'Neill, you have a comment?
Yes, Chair.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to call you Chair Joe, but I
Well, you can
I
call
like
me,
Chair Stover. Anyway, we have a procedural bylaw that handles when this would come back. We've talked about an individual, and I'm uncomfortable with the extent of that conversation. And I think there are other mechanisms rather than a motion of council that should be and could be used. But this, I'm not comfortable with us doing it through a motion of council. I think we should just receive for information.
Go ahead, Mayor
Through you,
Lobo.
Chair, Councillor O'Neill has made a claim that we should do it, but she didn't say how the other mechanisms are to control this.
We're voting on an amendment. Okay, so what is on the floor right now that this be received and filed? Oh, that the matter not come before council for a period of 1 year. So could we have a vote on this? Two. The motion fails. And what would be your next steps?
so you're back to your original motion that Mayor Lobo made, which is that council advised staff that the matter to close Hogan Road and Russ Creek Road to motorized traffic not be brought forward again during this term of council.
You made that motion
Yes.
and I will second that motion.
So that's already done.
That's already done.
Yeah, so
Calling a vote on that. And that has failed. Action. Councillor Booth, go ahead, please.
So I'd like to make a motion, the original about the staff report that says that we just received this as information. And then, well, I'll make that motion first and then talk about just to receive this report as information.
Do you have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. You're seconding that. Councillor Booth, did you want to say anything before the vote happens?
Yes.
Or add a comment?
Through your worship, I think, John, this will get the exact same thing that you're asking for, is we receive it as information. We know the policy states that this person cannot bring it to council and make a presentation again for another year. And that way it lets us get our ducks in order with the ATV agreement and we sign it and do everything. So, and staff, I'm sure, know how to handle this lady or I shouldn't say that, sorry, how to handle this person. That if they send stuff or whatever, then the clerk has every right to, it's not coming to council and that's it, right? So I think in the end, John, it's going to get you the same as what you're asking for.
It will get the same council. If the staff are being harassed.
Well, if staff are being harassed, I'm sure there's a way that they can address that and come to council, and then we can look at that, right?
There.
Well, I think that's what I kind of wanted, that they report to council that they are being harassed.
Mayor Logal, if I could just clarify with the clerk, there is a mechanism in place, is that correct? That if staff are continually being harassed by whoever, that there's a mechanism in place to handle this?
There is.
Thank you.
There is, I didn't realize that. It's
Thank
a
you.
policy. Thank you.
So can we have a vote on that, please?
All in favor?
All
Oh.
in favor? Thank you.
Mike, come back. Mike? Okay, not follow. They count.
He's probably in the library reading a book. No.
Probably in some other place. reading a book. That is almost the end of the. No, it's not. We have a proclamation. Before we go to this person, okay.
Mayor Logal,
Yes.
may I suggest now that it is, I do believe that we're going to go past the 4-hour minimum. I was reading it that it was 1:36, but I see it's 1:19. Do we need a motion to continue on past the 4-hour minimum?
I think we do, but I would prefer to wait till 1:30. 1:30. Take by the rules.
What you're gonna
Okay.
do for 4
We have
minutes.
an agenda for closed. Okay. Okay, motion to move into closed session. That the municipal planning regular council meeting of November 26, 2024. Move into a closed session under Municipal Act Section 239(2) regarding personal matters about an individual, identifiable individual, including the municipal or local board employees, litigation or potential litigation, including matters being before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instructions to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. And we're going to be discussing McQuillan subdivision and the Ontario Labor Tribunal update, as well as the CN Rail invoice dispute and the advisory committee application. I had a mover and a second, we're going to close. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stolberg, seconded by Councillor Booth. All in favor? Motion is carried.
If I could please have all members of the public who are currently watching online, please sign off. The meeting will be reopened when we resume back into open session at the end of the closed. Thank you. Again, if I could kindly ask the members of the public to please vacate the Zoom meeting, it'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you.